Dear God. And we back with another one, man. Back reacting to Benny, man. COMICSTORIAN. You feel me? Now, once again, man, I know y'all like, why are you reacting? Why are you streaming and doing reaction on YouTube on Monday? You only do it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You know what? We're going to do it every day. You feel me, man? Because a lot I got to do, and 3 days ain't enough out the week. You feel me? For short stories and short reactions, we're doing it short reactions, 30 minutes, 40 to 30 minutes long. We can do it on the days I normally wouldn't stream, man. You feel me? But besides the point, man, RIP COMICSTORIAN, man. Before we start any of your reactions, man, any of your content, man, RIP you, man. The GOAT, man. For real, man. But we here with Carnage Range. Carnage Range. Feel me? Carnage Revenge on Miles. Full story, man. Let's get into it. Let's go.
Morales needs his own symbiote villain, and today that villain is going to be Carnage. Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage, has been going through a crazy transformation himself, eventually learning to control Iron Man's tech and use it to become the ultimate Carnage. He then went back to New York City to get revenge on the one spider person that was able to resist him during the King in Black event, Miles Morales. But Miles Morales is also—
this happened after King in Black? I ain't gonna lie to you, a lot of these stories are gonna not be in order. You feel me? So if you're one of those people like that want like the full story in order, you gotta wait until I react to COMICSPLAIN. For COMICSPLAIN full stories, right? They go in chronological order. You feel me? Benny just reacted to a full story. You feel me? Yeah, he might do like multiple full stories ties into one. He'll do it. Feel me? But there's more COMICSPLAIN. You feel me? So y'all may not even know what a King in Black is. You feel me? So it's a lot. It's a lot. Keep that in mind.
We've been dealing with the Cape Killers,
I'm gonna do both.
A group of government-controlled supervillains sent out to stop superheroes they deem to be problems. That brings us to the Carnage Reigns event in today's video. This is COMICSTORIAN. I take comic books and turn them into audio dramas. The point is so that you know what to add to your collection. And Carnage Reigns is one of my more recent favorite Miles Morales storylines. If you guys enjoy longer form videos such as this, check out our full story channel where they're getting uploaded more frequently and more often. This actually came out a few months ago over there. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into Carnage Reigns. A few cop cars gather around the corner diner, with the sergeant on the scene quickly calling in for backup. I don't give a crap about the traffic. That's what sirens are for. We've got Cletus Cassidy in there. Send every team you've got, she says into her radio. Someone looks up into the sky and shouts as Spider-Man—
I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. If I got that call and say, hey, man, we gotta deal with Carnage, Cletus Cassidy, bro, I wouldn't show up to that call, bro. I know last video I did, the Batman video, I said Spider-Man has no sadistic characters, right? Like all his villains ain't sadistic, really. Bro, all but two. Green Goblin and Carnage. But Carnage is really his only sadistic motherfucker. Because Green Goblin is only sadistic towards Spider-Man, you feel me? If he can get Peter Parker, make his life hell, he gonna do it. But if you're not Peter Parker, you're really straight, bro. You don't gotta worry about the Goblin, bro. But for Cletus fucking Cassidy, for Carnage, it don't matter if you're a single fucking mom. It don't matter if you're a fucking child. It don't matter if you were born yesterday. It don't matter if you're a different hero. Everybody getting that shit in the worst, bloodiest, gruesome way, bro. I ain't gonna lie, that's why I say, bro, like, they can't even handle Cletus, bro. They can't handle Carnage, bro. They mentally can't handle him, bro. But I ain't gonna lie, that motherfucker legit. Now, that boy crazy. Psychotic.
Swings down, landing on the roof. But Miles has faced Cletus before. Memories of when he was overtaken by the Madman during the Absolute Carnage event fill his mind. I better go in dark. Give myself a fighting chance. He thinks to himself as he goes invisible. His camouflage hopefully protecting him from a surprise attack. He begins to sneak through the halls of the building, unaware of the twisting walls behind him that show Carnage's face. Outside, a SWAT van screeches to a halt in front of the diner, and Agent Gao gets out. She motions to her men, who are packing extremely heavy firepower. I want everyone looking the part out there, guys. Slick, professional, and above all, lethal. She calls to her men as she takes charge of the scene, ordering Sergeant Ahmed to push her people back as the hulking villain steps out of the van. Inside, Miles is sneaking through the shadows into the diner. But he stops suddenly as the lights come on and he sees several people.
Did that nigga stop to grab a slice of pancake? Did he stop a life-threatening mission? Went on camouflage to grab a slice of blueberry fucking pancakes, bro? Half-eaten blueberry pancakes, bro. He deserved it. Natural selection, bro. Natural selection at its highest, bro. Natural selection ain't good, bro. Natural selection is at an all-time high, bro. What the fuck made you drop your camouflage to try to eat a half-eaten pancake, bro? Yeah, you deserve that shit, bro. Natural selection, bro, at its finest.
Sitting and eating. The cook looks up in annoyance. I'm trying to run a business here. Would you mind getting your paw prints off of my ceiling? He growls. Miles drops to the floor, confused as to what is going on, but he is called over to the corner, where a bespectacled man sits. I hope you don't mind, and took the liberty of ordering for you. I'm Ken, the man says, and he motions to Miles to sit. Hey Ken, you mind telling me what's going on here? Miles asks, sitting down, pushing away the plate of French toast that he is offered. I'm afraid Mr. Cassidy didn't share the particulars of his plan with me, Ken tells him. But Miles can't sense Cassidy getting out of the booth behind him. Cassidy's jaw elongates as he opens his vicious mouth wide. You smell different than the other bug. Less tragic. Let's see what we can do to fix that! Cassidy suddenly growls as he lunges forward, biting.
You smell less tragic, bro. Like ain't enough shit went on in your life, bro. Let's fix that shit, bro. Traumatize this nigga, bro. Yeah, you don't smell traumatized enough, bro. Yeah, your life been a little too good. Yeah, let's fix that shit. Yeah, let's fix that shit. Wrap them up and bit them. Yeah,
into Miles' shoulder. Miles screams as he feels the jagged teeth biting deep into his flesh. Meanwhile, outside, Gao turns to the villain as he gets out of the van. Are you ready to go to work, Scorpion? Yeah, I watch your Team 6, Agent Gao. But I'm telling you, I'm here for one reason and one reason only. And that's to put an end to Cletus Cassidy. Back inside, Miles shoots a web into Carnage's face, grabbing a hold of him, throwing him over his shoulder. Carnage snarls, ripping the webbing clear. Were you raised in a barn, Miles? Didn't anybody ever tell you that it's rude to come between a man and his meal? Miles tries to leap away, but Carnage's tendrils lash out, slamming him through a wall. Miles is shocked as he looks up at Carnage's new suit, which basically looks like he threw up all over Iron Man. Struggling to his feet, Miles turns his head as a cook tries to get his attention. Bro, you gotta help. My name's Dominic.
Bro, you gotta help.
The cook hisses. Miles moves quickly, grabbing Dominic, pulling the man to safety. Meanwhile, in the diner, Ken motions to the hole in the wall. You're not letting him leave, are you? Is that a part of the plan? And Cletus just smiles. I'm not letting him leave. I'm baiting the hook. Cletus tells him as he turns his head, sensing Agent Gao's team entering the building. I do believe another course has arrived, Cletus says as he licks his lips.
That's not a figure of speech. That's not a metaphor. That's not a figure of speech. He means that shit very literally. Very literally. He's gonna eat him. He's gonna eat. That nigga's gonna eat him. That's not. Ain't like. Yeah, he dead ass. But look at it. Look at him.
The team pushes through the entryway, weapons up and ready. But someone is whispering to them from all around. He's here! The point man shouts as Cletus seemingly springs off of the walls, his symbiote growing around them. It pulls away their weapons, stabbing and slashing across them. The team tries to hit him with sonic weapons, but it just pushes Cletus back. Gunfire continues to erupt from the team as Scorpion comes rushing in. Hiya, Mac! Good to see you back on your feet, pal! Cletus says with a smile, and Mac tries to hit him with his tail, but Cletus appears behind him, slashing him across the face. No hard feelings about a last tussle, right? Don't they say that forgiving is divine? Cletus asks. Mac roars in anger, his tail lashing around until he realizes that he's all alone. He looks up to see Ken sitting in a nearby chair, watching the fight. Huh? Thought Cassidy didn't leave any survivors. Mac says, but Ken explains that he isn't a survivor, that he was once a serial killer that believed himself to be an autiste. But he realized that Cletus was the true artist. He's about to paint his masterpiece, Mr. Gargan. I'd urge you to run, but he's already here. Ken says, drawing Mac's attention as Carnage is sneaking up behind him. Meanwhile, Miles is leading Dominic to the roof. In the floor beneath
got the fuck out of there.
he hears the...
No, that, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Miles got the fuck out of that diner, bro. I'm talking about why this man is in a different part of the town, escorting this man to a dark alley talking about some, yeah, man, we gotta go a little farther down this way. Yo, this man's like, fuck that shit.
The gunfire, and Mac's eventual screams in pain. They continue to move forward with Miles kicking in the door to the roof. Come on, we gotta go this way. He leads Dominic to the edge, blood still dripping from his wounded shoulder, and he tells Dominic that they're going to have to jump to the next room. Trust me, Miles says, holding out his hand.
It's the fact that he heard that man screaming for help. He heard gunfire and heard that man screaming at diner, bro. That man's like, come on, bro, we gotta go this way, bro. We gotta get the fuck out of here, bro. We gotta go, bro. We need Mr. Parker, bro. We need Mr. Peter, bro.
Dominic reaches for, but Dominic's hand suddenly twists into the Carnage symbiote. If you insist, he says with a smile, slamming Miles into the ground. Miles struggles up in shock. Cassidy? He gasps as Dominic shifts into the red-headed psychopath. Miles shoots his webs, dragging Cassidy to the ground, but another has appeared, slashing him across the back. Hey, Miles, you ever feel like you're out of your depth? He says with glee. But Miles refuses to give up, trying to punch out. But Carnage catches the blow, opening his mouth wide to finish off Miles. Peter, I'm sorry. I tried. Miles thinks to himself, knowing that he has reached his end. But Scorpion is there, slamming Cletus away with his tail. Get off of him, you freak! Max snarls, and he turns, helping Miles up. You did real good, but you gotta tap out now. Mac tells him, and Miles is simply confused. Why are you helping me? He asks, and Max smiles. Honestly, I wasn't planning on it. I thought you were the other Spider-Man. But he suddenly gasps as blood begins to spill out of his mouth as Carnage's tendrils stab through his stomach. Carnage lifts him into the air, more tendrils stabbing through him. Good. I'm sorry. It's all on you. Scorpion gasps as Miles struggles up, electrical energy crackling in his hand. You don't know when to quit, do ya? Carnage asks with glee, but Miles leaps forward, slamming his Venom Strike into the power core in Carnage's center. Sparks begin to fly as Carnage screams in pain, dropping Scorpion. What have you done, kid? I'm gonna get you for this! Peel you good and slow! He bellows, and on the streets below, everyone looks up as the building suddenly explodes outward. Everything tumbles around them as Miles and Mac drop to the ground. The building is crumbling, covering them in debris. And after a few moments, Miles looks up. Is everyone okay? Are we good? He asks Scorpion, and Mac growls at him, explaining that there isn't a web and they aren't working together. He looks up as the debris begins to shift around him. Wait, what's that sound? He asks, and Miles rushes forward, pushing Scorpion away, catching the building as it continues to fall apart. He gasps, trying to hold it up. Scorpion, my guy! Don't think I can hold an entire building forever! Open to your pitches right about now! Miles yells as more debris begins to push down on them. The ground begins to fill up with water. All right, I got an idea. Scorpion says, swishing his tail back and forth. The tail then lashes out, grabbing Miles, pulling him free of the debris before it can squash him. Thanks, man. You had me going there for a minute. Miles tells Mac that they need some help on this one, and the two begin to pick their way through the destroyed building, arguing over what they should do. They eventually come across an EMT who's trapped beneath the rubble, but Mac moves, stopping Miles. Are you stupid or something? Cassidy already got us with one symbiote switcheroo. I'm not taking no chances on that being another Cletus freak clone. But Miles stands in his way, insisting that they need to help everyone that they can. Meanwhile, topside, Agent Gao is staring at the massive crater that was created by the building exploding. She sighs, knowing that they can't allow Carnage to escape and continue to kill. She rubs the bridge of her nose. Every second that we waste is another potential body that Cassidy catches. She says and reaches for her phone, tapping a button. Send them in. Back in the crater, Mac finally agreed to not killing the woman, and with a growl he turns, continuing to go through the rubble. The woman thanks Spider-Man for saving her, and they get back to work trying to dig it out. They find another survivor, this one a member of Agent Gao's team, and Max steps forward to attack the person again, but Miles again holds up his hands. Dude, we've been over this! Mac quickly agrees this time, and the trio continue to help getting the debris off of the agent. Water is pouring steadily down on them now, with Miles aware that they are going to be completely submerged soon. He glances around, finding a massive sewer main. All right, I got our way out of here. He insists on Mac breaking the water main, filling it up with even more water so that they can use the pressure to get them out of the crater faster with it. You got some stones, kid, I'll give you that, Mac shouts, and they all shoot up into the air using the rush of water from the sewer main to rapidly fill the space, and they all land on the streets above. Agent Gao moves forward, quickly ordering the police to arrest Spider-Man. Oh, come on, man! Miles snaps as electric cuffs are slapped.
Hey, bro, that's one thing about Spider-Man, bro. It don't matter, bro. If he saved the fucking day, saved their life, bro, help them, it don't matter what good he does, bro. The motherfuckers gonna always arrest him. He can literally save their men. And they'll be like, man, cuff his ass. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. If I was Spider-Man, bro, I would have put belt there, man.
On him. How many times do I gotta save the day before you're gonna give me a break?
No, literally!
He asks, and he turns to Mac, hoping the criminals stick up for him. Actually, ma'am, I think we could use this runt. He did good back there. Building going boom wasn't on account of him. It was all Cassidy, Mac tells her. Meanwhile, the EMTs are trying to take a look at Agent Scott, the other survivor, but the agent suddenly transforms before their eyes. Bacon's back on the menu, boys! Carnage snarls as he rushes to finish off the captured Miles. Cassidy can duplicate himself now? Agent Gao asks in surprise. Miles rushes forward, breaking out of his own cuffs. It's more like he can possess folks, Miles shouts, and as he's about to fight with Carnage again, a blast of energy and arrows hit the symbiote, dropping it to the ground. Miles is confused, looking back at the newest members of Agent Gao's team. Sorry, where are our manners? Let me introduce New York's newest anti-vigilante task force, the Cake Killers. Taskmaster tells him, motioning to his team of Electro and Hightail. Hiya, kid. Long time no stab. The team then quickly moves forward, defeating the symbiote, dropping it to the ground. Agent Gao turns to her team, explaining what Miles said about Cassidy taking over various individuals and creating possessed clones. And she ends it with explaining that that's why Spider-Man is going to be joining them. Miles tries to argue, but Gao looks at him. Here's your options, kid. My Cape Killers can cart you off to jail, or you can be their little symbiote whisperer, and I'll consider it time served. Now, where is Cassidy hiding? But far below the city, in the symbiote hive known as the Spire, Cassidy is sitting upon a throne looking at Kenneth. What's the point of that stunt? A little sleight of hand. Spider-Man couldn't help but come to the rescue, and while he was distracted, we were able to slip away, unpursued. To do what? Hide? Lick our wounds? No. Spider-Man is going to pay. But first, whatever he did was messing with my suit. I gotta sort it out. And when I do, this whole town's gonna remember what it's like to have Carnage's claws at its throat. Not long ago, Kenneth Neely had a will of his own. Anyone who knew Ken would know that he was a monster, a murderer. But even he didn't know true evil until he swam into the red wake of a creature known as Carnage. For weeks now, he's been goaded and coaxed across the universe, while the beast gored its way to godhood. Eventually, even he realized that its ascension could mean the end of everything, even blessed slaughter. So he sought out one force in the universe capable of stopping Carnage, Cletus Cassidy, a serial killer who also happens to be Carnage's former host. But there was something different about Cletus. He was using his new other, a hybrid of a symbiote dragon in the old Iron Man suit. So Ken provoked him in hope that a taste for mass murder might bring back his old self. However, for Cletus, he wasn't in any shape to do what Ken wanted, or rather, suggested, since no one controls Cletus Cassidy. Recently, even with his iron symbiote, Cletus had a run-in with Miles Morales, and the zap that Miles gave him, well, it sort of fried the Iron Man tech inside, like literally fried a hole into Cletus's chest. The smell was indescribable. But for a second, Cletus was connected. He was inside the wires. He once thought being connected to the hive would allow him to remake the world in his image, but he was wrong. That's why Ken is going to help him with a few upgrades. A short while later, in the Stark Unlimited building in Greenwich Village, scientists are getting to work salvaging old Iron Man suits when there's a sudden explosion at the front entrance. As the security guard on duty is thrown through the door, Cletus follows behind, telling everyone, "My name is Cletus Cassidy, and this is my rather lackluster hype man, Ken. Now which one of you is going to take me to Tony Stark?" One of the scientists says that Mr. Stark is no longer running the company. Mr. Heng is now the new owner. Cletus tells him, "Well, I have a bit of a problem. Seems the old ticker inside of me isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing." The scientist takes a closer look at the opening in Cletus's chest. "Is that repulsor tech?" "I couldn't tell you. All I know is that it's busted and it stings like hell. Can you fix it?" The scientist tells him of course not. But before he could even finish explaining why, Cletus releases a blast, melting the scientist's face. Cletus then turns to everyone else. "Look, no need to get jumpy, but I did need to make an example out of one of you. Now, are the rest of you gonna fix me up or what?" The rest tell him that they can't. Tony never shared the specs to any of his suits. They wouldn't even know where to begin on repairing whatever he has become. Cletus looks across at the scientist. "Well, if you don't know, you know what they say. If you can't repair, replace." He points to one of the Iron Sentinels and tells them to put that in him. A little while later, all of the nanotech is being implemented into Cletus's body, and he tells Ken to keep an eye to make sure that they don't do anything to him when he goes under. Ken informs him that he has no weapons in one hand, so Cletus tells him it's time to repay his loyalty. Before Ken could even realize what's going on, Cletus begins to infect Ken with parts of his symbiote, reaching out and taking pieces of old Iron Man suits and grafting them onto Ken. Ken looks at his hand as well as his newly formed one, and then realizes that he's not in control of his own body. "Control? You never had any. Now just relax and let old Cletus take the wheel, because the only person I trust to look after my own interests is myself." But at that moment, Ken is struck as a green blur whizzes by. The blur suddenly stops before Cletus, and Hightail says, "Whoa! A big monster and a little monster! Whose ass am I gonna kick first?" With Hightail's attention on Cletus, Ken touches the ground, beginning to spread the symbiote out to grab Hightail, holding her in place long enough for him to shoot her in the back. Ken begins to laugh, but before he could do anything worse, Taskmaster attacks him, and Ken screams out in pain. He then goes back to laughing as he regrows another hand. "I'm just playing!" And he punches Taskmaster into the ground. But before he could finish off Taskmaster, his hand is pulled back by webbing as Miles swings in with the rest of the Cape Killers. He kicks him, asking, "Why are there always more of you?" And Cletus reaches out, telling the scientist to hurry. But he also grabs Miles. "Isn't it past your bedtime?" Electra shocks Ken. "I'm gonna cook you out of that thing!" And Ken begins to grab more Iron Man pieces, trapping her inside of them, causing her attack to deflect back on herself. Scorpion arrives, yelling, "I don't care how many mini-me's you got lined up. I'll go through them all, Cletus." Ken then asks how many holes does he have to put in him before you get the message? Scorpion spins back with,
I don't know nothing about any of this. Then sit back, relax, enjoy, and learn anything until you uncultured fuck. You uncultured fuck. Like, you don't see Spider-Man ass cheeks bust wide open, the Scorpion slapping a Carnage man. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, come on, man. Come on, man. Key symbols, man. Context clues, man.
his tail, launching Ken out of the building. And then Cletus gets back up, pulling some of the equipment off while Miles swings in to try and deliver another Venom blast, like before, the one that shut down Cletus. But Cletus releases a blast of energy, knocking Miles away. "Did you really think that would work again, kid? Right now, I can feel myself inside of the building, inside of the city, buzzing in the wires. The back door to everything. So many new meat puppets to play with." Miles looks at the scientist, asking, "What did you do?" And the scientist explained that they isolated the old escape backbone so that he couldn't infect any other carriers. But he can still reach so many people. Miles asks if they just put Cletus online. And the scientist says not just online. Cletus is in the building's learning neural network. From here, he can spread out through Tony Stark's escape system, every host, every wire. You saw what he did with a barely functional suit. He was turning people into lethal puppets. Now he's gonna do the same thing to the whole city. And then, carnage will reign. The first thing that Cletus did when connecting to the city was decide that he needs more recruits. So he reaches out
to a little kid. The nigga said, man, I need more goblins, bro. I need more hitters, bro. The first thing this nigga do is hit up a fucking kid. He's a fucking demon. He's a demon, bro.
to Liz Allen, and their son
demon,
Stan picks it up. He begins to talk to Stan, asking if he wants to hear a secret. And when Stan puts the phone to his ear, Cletus whispers something. Suddenly, Stan's eyes turn red and he grabs a knife from the block.
No.
Meanwhile, Liz is enjoying her bath with her headphones on, oblivious to what is happening, as Stan quietly sneaks in, raising up the knife. But before he could bring it down, Normie catches him, and Cletus talks through the phone. Hey, if it isn't Normie Osborn, the Goblin Child himself, or are you Red Goblin now? Normie asks, what did Cletus do? And Cletus explains, why don't you have a look at the phone and see? I'll tell you a little secret. The most epic secret in the whole wide world. But as Normie grabs the phone, Rascal, the symbiote that is attached to the young child, begins to panic, shouting, No, Batman! Cletus says, oh, is that a little sliver of me? I can smell it in that adorable symbiote cocktail you got going on. How very interesting. Suddenly there's an explosion outside and Normie asks what was it. Cletus tells him that he wished that he had just listened to his secret. It's how I've been making so many friends, Normie. Outside, Normie can see the Cape Killers fighting off the infected people of the city, as well as the infected just fighting amongst themselves. But while Scorpion finds himself moments away from being ripped to shreds, Agent Gao saves him at the last second, telling him that they need to move. Scorpion gets back up, asking how bad are things. She tells him that Cassidy's consciousness seems to be contained in the old Stark escape network, so he's largely confined to New York. At that moment, Gao's phone rings, and when she answers it, a voice asks, what is she still doing in the building? It turns out that it's the new owner of the building, Mr. Heng, and he begins to argue, asking why she's even there, but she just kind of hangs up on him, telling him that she needs to deal with Cletus. But as she's about to hang up, Heng explains that that's actually why he called. He's delivering heavy ordnance to the area that Cassidy has taken over, and he strongly advises that she and her team move elsewhere when that happens. Back on the streets, the infected are getting ready to strike down someone when Normie interjects, stopping it, telling everyone that they need to go home. One of the infected yells that they are home. Welcome to the Cletus Cassidy show, where participation is mandatory! But at that moment, something slams into the car next to Normie and Miles gets up. All right, tonight officially sucks, and I've decided not to participate. Normie asks if Miles is okay, and Miles climbs out asking who Normie is. Seeing that he's in his Red Goblin outfit, Normie says that he's still working on it. Miles laughs, ha, are we all? So are we fighting or, And then a voice calls out asking if he's seeing double, or do spider people grow on trees? Ken stands up, blasting the both of them. Quickly trying to figure out what to do, Miles holds up his hands, looking at Normie. Can you do the thing? Normie asks him, the web stuff? Yeah, pretty sure. Cool, let's hang the laundry out to dry. The two spin their webs, with Ken rocketing himself forward just in time to be clotheslined by the thread. For a moment, Ken wakes up telling them that they need to get him out of here, because Cassidy is in his head. So Normie walks over. Really? Dude, we gotta get him out of here. But before Miles could tell him not to, Cletus begins to take back over Ken. Don't mind Ken. He's just a little salty over having his body jacked. Miles then jumps onto the back of Ken, ripping off the Iron Man mask. And just as the symbiote is giving way, a spike shoots out, stabbing Miles in the arm. Cletus laughs as the symbiote retakes Ken. That's much better. The old faceplate tasted like tinfoil. He activates the thrusters, bringing him and Miles into the sky. Miles begins to web his legs to the ground to slow the process, but Cletus spins his head around, opening his mouth. You silly goose! I was gonna finish you off quick, but not anymore! At that moment, Cletus is stopped as the symbiote is suddenly stripped away. He looks down to see Normie as Red Goblin holding onto him, absorbing the Carnage symbiote. Back at Stark Unlimited, Cletus begins to shout, "No, no, no, no! The little offshoot and the cosplay Spider-Man just threw me out of my own damn meat puppet! Nobody takes my stuff! Nobody!" Normie and Miles watch as the infected become more aggressive against the heroes and anti-heroes are trying to protect them. But that is until there's a crack-a-coom that shakes the ground, knocking everyone away. Normie shields his eyes from the bright light, asking, "Are we being rescued?" And Miles tells him, "I really hope that's the Avengers." But as they look up, they see 2 Iron Sentinels. "Yeah, no, that's not the Avengers, Spider-Man." With everything going on, Cletus takes a moment to re-examine his own situation. He's busy trying to make new friends, the stabby kind. But the Osborn kid who's wearing warmed-up leftovers can absorb symbiote matter. He's out there with the Morales kid, who hurt him. And now they're both stuck talking to themselves in an empty lab because they don't know how to be alone. But they do this every time they feel small, right? They multiply! But that also makes them predictable, makes them vulnerable. Perhaps it is why Carnage always loses. The Extrembiote says that that's interesting. "Are you proposing a change in tactics, Cletus Cassidy?" Cletus tells him, "Oh, not at all. Perhaps we're thinking too small. We're trying to reach millions. Why not reach trillions? All of these old Iron Man armors, we could use them to build a bigger mirror." The Extrembiote looks at him. "I understand. I might just have the thing." Back outside, Normie and Miles are holding off what they can of the infected while the Sentinels attempt to corral people, telling them that they need to go home. Normie yells in frustrations that he barely made a dent in those things, and they keep coming. They need to find the main guy for him to absorb. Taskmaster looks at the child. "You realize you're talking about Cletus Cassidy, right? Forgive me for saying. You're not looking too hot right now, kid." Up in the tower, the Iron Sentinels begin to fire their payloads into Cletus Cassidy. But Cletus grabs a hold of one of them, beginning to crush it. "You know, I really hate fighting robots. Just straight up hate it. Because you can't die." As Cletus is occupied, Miles swings up, taking Normie as close as they can to Cassidy. As for the Iron Sentinels, Hang sits back laughing, stating that he did it. He managed to shut down and take over Cassidy's nasty little signal. He's been kicked out of the wires, isolated, and what comes next is elimination. Cletus crushes the sentient Sentinel too late, screaming, "Whoever you are, I will tear out your tendons and make your carcass dance on Broadway!" Across from him in the shadows, Miles tells Scorpion that they need a distraction. And Scorpion tells him, "You need a punching bag, don't you?"
Yep.
"Fine." Scorpion throws himself into the middle of it all, calling out to Cassidy, giving Normie the time that he needs to try and absorb the Extrembiote Carnage. But as he does, he begins to see something, feel something. He feels the ocean of cruelty. There's no end to it, and Normie can't do this. It's too much for him to take. Normie collapses, and Miles tells Scorpion that the kid is down and not getting up. "We gotta bail, Scorpion!" As they try, Cletus looks back up. You don't get to run from this. You.
That man said, That man said, we gotta get the fuck out of here. That man said, Nah, you sticking through this one. Nah. What that boy Drake tell Kendrick? Nah, you sticking through this.
Ruined a perfectly good evening. Meanwhile, back over in New Jersey, a man sighs. I knew today was today. I would have shaved for this. Cletus Cassidy, back to spooking the natives, using my freaking suit to do it. No, this time, I'm not letting it slide. This time, you're gonna answer for your crimes, Cletus. Tony begins to assemble his suit. Then he tells Boss to go ahead and lock up. I'm on my way. Boss tells him, confirmed. Query? And Tony tells him, I need a stick. A really big stick. Back in Manhattan, Cletus finishes with his upgrades, deciding to stretch his wings as he flies over the city, telling them, I'm starting to feel like my old self again. The more you make me bleed, the badder I become. While Miles and Scorpion get back towards the ground, Taskmaster and Electro take their shot as Taskmaster lets loose 3 explosive arrows that try to give the other 2 some cover. Cletus turns his attention to them, telling them, that was pretty cute that you'd think that would work. Taskmaster asks Electra if she can pick up some speed, and she tells him sure. Just gotta let go of some dead weight. And she lets go of Taskmaster. After dropping him, she flies towards Miles, telling him that Gao told her that they have similar electric powers. Miles tries to argue against using it with her, but she finally convinces him, so he funnels his Venom Blast into Electra to charge her up. And then she turns, releasing it into one giant blast. The shot hits Cletus dead on as everyone waits to see if it was effective. And then they see Cletus peering through the smoke. If you wanted my attention, you sure as heck have it now!
Yeah, that man a monstrosity, bro. Yeah, that boy a monstrosity, bro. How you take an electro full power blast amped by Miles Morales, Venom Steam, amped, and was like, yeah, you got my undivided attention, bro. And they thought that shit killed you, bro. They thought that shit put you down. You like, yeah, you got my attention now. If I were there, I would have bailed.
Suddenly, red tendrils shoot out, slashing and cutting into Miles and Electro, splitting them apart and flinging them across the city. Hightail catches Electro, while Taskmaster stands up. That's what you get for dropping me. But now it's time to see if this little rocket that I stole from the dusty old Stark building can help. With Cletus's back turned, Taskmaster fires the RPG, not even knowing what he's firing because he just picked up a random weapon. And Cletus turns back, swatting it away. Shooting a guy in the back is low. Even for you, Taskmaster. That's why I prefer to stab him. The rocket then ricochets, flying into a nearby building, and people begin to scream for help as Hightail pushes Taskmaster out of the way, telling him, "You just brought down the—"
Where are the other heroes? The man is killing the city, bro. The man is turning the city against each other, bro. Putting belt to ass, blew up a monument, bro. Where are the other fucking heroes, bro? One thing about Spider-Man, bro, if you have the mantle of Spider-Man, bro, never expect no fucking allies, bro. Bro, there's no way the villains fucking responded. The villain was like, all right, Buddy Wildin', bro. We got to step in. But the hero's like, I ain't fucking with that.
A whole building. Miles swings in to help with what he can, but Hightail runs up to him. I talk fast, so listen. I toss, you catch. Do it. People are then being tossed out of the building as Miles creates webbing all over to catch the survivors. Once they're done, Miles takes a deep breath, laughing. Wow. Okay, Usain Bolt, I see you. And Hightail says, this does not make us friends. And that's when Miles, Hightail, and Scorpion attempt to do what they can. But with every inch that they make against Carnage, Cletus takes a mile. He begins laughing. The chase is part of the fun! Hell, it's all of the fun! He whips a tail at Hightail, but Miles jumps in the way, taking the hit, asking if she's okay. Cletus tells him, I wouldn't be worrying about her, kid. At that moment, something pops up on Gal's radars, and a voice comes over the comms. I'm not one to eavesdrop, but my ears just wouldn't stop burning. Tony Stark flies in with his Iron Man suit, firing a sonic disruptor.
I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Tony Stark designs. That's it,
Disruptor to keep Cletus away, looking down. Hey, Spidey, looks like you got yourselves a little Carnage problem. Once everyone is clear, Tony turns his focus back to Cletus, and his attitude changes from playful to serious. I had a long time to prepare for this after you ran off with my tech. You steal the Extremebiote, and you turn it into this monstrosity? Who better to slay the evil dragon than a knight in titanium armor? He jumps in with an electric spear, stabbing Cletus in the mouth, allowing his suit the time to start transferring power. He then tells everyone to clear the way. He wants Cassidy to feel this! And as soon as he finishes charging, he releases all of that stored energy straight into Cletus. As the smoke clears, everyone can see the smoldering remains of what Cletus was. And Miles asks, did we win? Hightail tells him to just...
Yo, Iron Man low-key OP. Iron Man low-key OP as fuck, bro. He overpowered. He might just be overpowered as fuck, bro.
Take the win. But at that moment, there's a loud clang as Tony slams on the ground behind them. Miles asks if he's okay, and Tony explains he needs a little of that zappy trick from the Venom to get him back up and moving. With that, Miles shocks the suit, telling him that it's pretty much the last that he has. But Tony tells him, you keep this up, you might make my top 5 spider people list. Wait, do you really have 5 of... At that moment, Miles' words fade. Everyone looks back to see the red tendrils stabbing and piercing Miles. And Cletus tells them, you have got to learn to stop turning your back on me. God, but for now, I'm done with the small fry. I need something bigger to sink my teeth into. I need to spread this thing far and wide. I need to spread.
Pause! Pause, my boy! Hey, this nigga freaked the fuck out. Twin freak, fuck, freaking man. That boy said, I need to spread that bit far. I need something else to put that joint on, bro. That boy freaked the fuck out. Nigga, pause it. Wait, bro. I don't want to hear that again, bro. I was gonna repause it. I was gonna replay it, but nah, that nigga freaky as fuck.
And real carnage. As Cletus begins to fly off, Miles coughs. That was stupid of me, so stupid. I should have never let my guard down. Tony grabs him. Stay with me, kid. We can't have you dying that easily. Hightail runs over, asking if they can fix this. Tony tells them that they have good news and bad news. Bad news is I never went to medical school. Good news is I'm smart enough to create programs that went for me. Stay still. This is gonna sting. A lot.
Don't nobody talk like Iron Man, bro. Bro, that nigga, bro. Bro, don't nobody talk that, Bro, that nigga gotta be the biggest shit talker, bro. That nigga gotta be the biggest fucking flexer, bro. The biggest flexer in fiction, bro. Nobody gonna flex like Iron Man, bro. Nobody, bro. Nobody. That is that bad news, man. I never went to medical school. Good news is, man, I'm smart enough to take that did. Bro, what the fuck is going... Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Iron Man might be slept on. I ain't gonna lie. I might gotta do one of his comments next, bro.
He reaches down, creating a nanotech cast over the wound. Miles asks, what is it? And Tony explains that the nanite clusters will help speed up his recovery. But what they're creating isn't so much a cast. You should probably just call it a suit. Miles sits up looking at his suit, seeing the Iron Spider outfit now with 4 extra limbs. A short while later, Miles and Tony are speeding across the city, with Miles cheering about how good he feels in the new Iron Spider suit that Tony gave him. He swings through the air, hitting the gigantic dragon monster that Cletus has become with a laser blast from his new spider arms. I see you were smart enough to bleed out when I stuck you like a pig! Cletus roars, opening his mouth wide, firing a blast of energy at the pair of heroes. But Tony leaps out of the way, blocking Miles from the attack with his energy shield. Behind me, kid. This is the easy part. Shield's gonna hold, but I don't know if we're gonna stick the landing. Tony shouts as they fly through the air, slamming into a nearby building. A moment passes and the pair struggle to their feet. See? Easy. Tony groans, grumbling about not wanting to be thrown into any more buildings, and he orders their team of misfits to gather around. He orders Scorpion and Hightail to cover them while he and Spider-Man are going to hit Carnage hard enough to crack the symbiote Iron Man suit so that he can use the special EMP that would fry Carnage's circuits. Your plan is crazy as hell. You know that, right? Hightail asks him. Wait, does this mean we're real Avengers now? Scorpion begins to wonder, and Tony nods as they turn back to Carnage. All right, my temporary Avengers, time to slay a dragon. He shouts as he draws his energy sword and shield. Make me bleed, Stark! Show me how it's done! Cletus
Don't nobody talk that villain shit like... Don't nobody talk that villain shit like fucking Carnage, bro. Nigga heard your plan and said, come make me bleed, nigga. Come make me bleed, nigga. Show me how it's done. Fuck the talking, nigga. Show me how it's done. You gotta show me. Fuck the talking. Show me how it's done, bro. Please make a martyr out of me, bro. Please make me an example, bro. Please, bro. That nigga.
roars with Hightail rushing forward, punching the monster in the face. She dodges out of the way as Scorpion hits him with another energy blast, and Cletus merely shakes off the attacks. If you want me, you're gonna have to earn my blood, Cletus says before reaching back, letting out a massive roar.
I don't know who I'm rooting for, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I don't know who I'm rooting for, bro. They going band for band. Carnage and Iron Man going band for band. They're going band for band. They're going aura for aura, bro.
The ground shakes with the sound, and the heroes are forced back. What kind of scream is that? Hightail shouts, but Miles looks behind them as a crowd of symbiote-controlled people are rushing through the streets, called to their master. Guys, I don't think that was a scream. I think it was a dinner bell, Miles says as the people rush forward, screaming Carnage's name as they attack the heroes. Over their head, 3 symbiote-controlled Iron Man suits roar forward. And over their heads, Agent Gao is watching them all from a helicopter, with Red Goblin unconscious on the floor, but struggling to his feet. Cletus is gonna tear apart the whole damn city. You're up, Red Goblin. Little Normie, the child within the symbiote, nods his head, leaping into the city. Yes, ma'am, he shouts, Kenneth smiling. Guess our final player is about to take the stage, he whispers. Below them, Tony and Miles are engaging the Iron Man suits that have been taken over by the Extremis virus, one of them rushing Miles, with the helmet flipped up to reveal the symbiote strands. Come back to us, Spider-Man. Come join our symphony. The creature growls in the voice of Cletus. Close by, Scorpion and Hightail are fighting against a horde of people controlled by Cletus. Yo, it's getting pretty cramped in here. Do one of them speed blitz things, Hightail. Scorpion shouts, but she shakes her head, explaining that there isn't enough room. What good's a speedster who can't speed? Scorpion grumbles, but above them, Red Goblin drops in, knocking a crowbar-wielding man away. Cassidy isn't hurting anyone else, Red Goblin states. Spider-Man suddenly comes flying by them, slamming into a truck, having been thrown by one of the Extremis Iron Man suits. Tony lands next to them, informing the others that they need the ground cleared. They're making the final assault. The rest of the heroes clear out enough room for Hightail, who suddenly leaps into super speed, knocking out a large number of the horde. You couldn't just do that from the start, Scorpion says with a smile. Tony and Miles leap back to fighting the Iron Man suits. Miles' new Iron Spider armor allowing him to quickly dodge their attacks and keep them busy enough for Tony to finally hit them with a sonic blast that destroys the symbiote pieces that were controlling them.
Hey, ain't that what a fucking spider sense is for, bro? I ain't gonna lie, bro. Miles Morales don't have the best spider sense, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. His spider sense really ass, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. His spider sense is really fucking ass, bro. It kind of makes sense why it's not the best, because that man got way more powers, but damn.
The armor then falls to the ground, empty once again. Well, that was fun while it lasted, the Cletus Cassidy Dragon Carnage says with a smile. But it's at that moment that Tony realizes that Cletus is now one with the Extremis virus, that he is bonded with it, and there might be only one way to finally stop this fight. Over their heads, Kenneth looks up as a piece of the Extremis symbiote splats onto the side of their helicopter. While Gao is distracted, he manages to slip free of his cuffs, and he grabs a hold of the symbiote, allowing it to bond with his skin. With maniacal laughter, he reaches out, grabbing a hold of the pilot, grabbing the stick and pointing them at the ground. You don't understand what's waiting out in the stars. Cletus Cassidy is the only one who can stop the Carnage symbiote, he shouts to Gao. On the ground, Miles looks up as a helicopter is now flying through the air. Gao is thrown clear and Spider-Man leaps up to grab her as the chopper crashes hard into the New York streets. Kenneth manages to struggle free of the crash, staggering over to Carnage. Cletus, I got your message. I understand my purpose now. The Carnage symbiote is waiting out in the stars. Kenneth gasps to his master. But Carnage has had enough of the fanboy reaching down for him, knowing that his piece of the symbiote will heal him. Thanks for the jump, Kenneth! Nearly back to full power, Cletus tells him. Kenneth is confused by this turn of events, but Cletus reaches down, stabbing him through the chest. Internship's over, Kenneth. Hope you enjoyed the lessons. Cletus laughs as he absorbs the serial killer. You always knew it had to end this way. Cletus laughs, and Tony and Miles are there hitting Cletus with everything that they have. Tony flying around the monster, but a tendril reaches out, destroying his gauntlet. Enough of those little Stark toys, Cletus growls, but Miles leaps at the monster, swinging through the air, spinning around him. He avoids Cassidy's tendrils as he picks up speed until he leaps into his side, knocking him to the ground. But Cletus is on his feet quickly, his tendrils lashing out at top speed, knocking off some of the Iron Spider arms as he presses his attack. It's Miles who flips over another attack, his fist beginning to glow with energy. This started with a Venom Blast, so I'm ending it with one! Miles shouts as he slams his fist into the monster. The blast tearing up the street around them, smoke filling the air. And when it clears, Cletus is struggling to his feet. That tickled, he grunts, but Miles has done his job. He leaps out of the way as Tony Stark comes barreling in. Iron Man, now or never! He shouts, and Tony slams into Cletus, burying himself into the monster, attacking his EMP. Cletus roars in anger and pain as the EMP rips apart the Extremis virus, destroying him. And as the smoke clears, Miles struggles over to Tony. Did we do it? Is Cletus gone? Tony nods, his body moving stiffly. Completely fried my suit, but I'd say we got him, kid. The rest of the heroes look around as Cassidy's horde comes back to their senses. They're no longer controlled by the madman, and Tony explains that he isn't sure if Cassidy will stay gone, but he is at least defeated for now. You did good out there, he tells Miles, putting his hand on his shoulder. I'm still taking the suit back, though. He says as the Iron Spider suit is reabsorbed into his armor. The duo leave Agent Gao and her men to clean up the mess of the city, with Tony dropping Miles off at his apartment. There, he's greeted by his family. He hugs his baby sister and he tells them that everything is going to be all right. But back in the city, in the shadows of the destruction caused by the battle, a pile of reddish goo begins to shift and move. For the briefest of moments, a face can be seen at its depths. And there you have it, Carnage Reigns, the Miles Morales storyline. Now, like I said, check out our full story channel for more longer form videos such as this. But very soon we'll be doing the full Miles Morales full story of his current run of comics, in which he's dealt with things such as anxiety and mental depression and stuff like that. It's actually a really good storyline, and the link to the whole playlist is down below if you can't wait and you want to watch it now. But on that note, I will leave you be. You have yourself a great day.
And after Benny's note,
it's time to explore.
After Benny's note, man, I'm finna end it right here, man. That was so far, that might have been my favorite story, man. I ain't gonna lie, these short stories, man. I'm loving them, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. If you're following me on Twitch or you viewing on Twitch and you enjoy the full story, man, one, go subscribe to Benny page. RP Benny, man. Still show love, you feel me? Even though he's long gone, show love, man. Support him so people can remember his work. And if you enjoyed the content, the reaction, the energy, follow me on Twitch and follow my YouTube. You feel me? And if you're on YouTube, my bad, because all my content gets streamed on Twitch. Then I edit it for YouTube. So if you're on YouTube and you made it to the end of the video and you enjoy what you see or what you saw, and you're like, you know what, little dude, you funny and entertaining, man. I like your reactions, man. You feel me? Like what I like. Subscribe and follow me, man, for more content. And with that, we out of here, man. Take my ass to bed.